I don't just talk about other people's stuff, I also make my own. Books in particular. To date, I have 4 books you can check out on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and the short story collection Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Hop on down to the description for Amazon links to all 4 books. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Omni viewer, and I thought I'd do a little bit of analysis of the UFO video that I recently posted, because I want to provide you with a bit more context about what actually happened, and also do a little speculation on what it potentially is and potentially is not. Now, first I'd like to say that technically speaking, this is not the first UFO sighting I've had. I've actually had quite a few UFO sightings throughout my life. I don't make any claims as to what they are. All I know is that there have been many times, completely random, where I've just looked up in the sky and saw something going by and I was like, that is not a plane, and I don't recognize it as anything else. And they've run a pretty wide gamut of things. Sometimes it looks like a solid object, sometimes it's a light. There's only one that I would say actually looked like a flying saucer right out of a movie, and that was actually, ironically, the first one I ever saw. But, you know, that was a long, long time ago. Most of the time, I've just seen things that are unusual. Sometimes there have been other people there seeing them as well, and they don't know what it is either. This just happens to be the first one I managed to get on camera. When I was a child, I didn't have a camera on me at all times because camera phones hadn't been invented yet. And more recently, when I have had access to a camera phone, I mean, I don't always have it on me. Like, if I take the dog out just to do a bathroom break before turning in at night, I'm not necessarily going to have my phone in my pocket just for that. So if something happens to go by at that point, I won't be able to get it on camera. This time, I just happened to. I saw it and I realized, wait a minute, I can actually get evidence of this. So, first one I managed to get on camera. Not the first UFO I've ever seen, but the first UFO I've actually managed to get on camera. I'm also going to say, in no uncertain terms, that this is not fake. This is a genuine video. I do not hoax things. If I were hoaxing it, you would have known, because I would have done something more than just, oh look, a tiny white dot just happens to go by and nothing happens beyond that. I would have given it an arc. I would have had a money shot where the thing actually gets closer and we see detail. I would have gone more to it, and it would have been obvious that it was a hoax. And plus, I'm not the kind of guy who's gonna do a hoax anyway, because I take paranormal research seriously and I hate when hoaxes happen. Hoaxes just muddy the waters. They lend less credence to something that's already treated as being on shaky foundation to begin with. So I would not be the sort of person who hoaxes this thing. If people don't believe me, I would happily submit my phone. I have it, the video's on there as it was originally recorded. You can check it out for yourself. Any researchers who want to check it out, I would happily lend it to you, and you would see the video is exactly what it claims to be. So, I did not fake this. Again, I want to be very clear on that. Whatever I saw, it is real. But that raises the question of what it is. And that's where I begin some analysis and a little bit of speculation. Now, there are some things we can rule out pretty quickly. For example, it's not a shooting star. That being like a meteorite or a comet or asteroid or some space rock entering the atmosphere. If that were the case, it would have been over much quicker. It would have been leaving a trail. It would have been angled a bit more downward. And, well, it wouldn't have... It's just not a meteor, okay? I think that's pretty clear. I know what shooting stars look like. I know what meteors look like as they're entering the atmosphere. It's not one of those. I can also safely rule out a conventional plane or helicopter, because those sort of things fly over the neighborhood all the time. And even though it wasn't necessarily moving erratically, I guess I should clarify that as well. I know that in the video there are shots where it looks like the thing is moving back and forth. It wasn't. It was moving in a straight line the whole time. At least from my perspective, it was a straight line. The reason it may look like that at times is because I didn't want to lose it as it was going behind the telephone pole, so I was kind of moving with it like this, and that sometimes created an optical illusion. But otherwise, it was just moving in a straight line, like a jet or a helicopter might. But again, I know what those things look like. They fly over all the time at different altitudes, sometimes very low, sometimes very high, but I know what they look like, even at a distance. And I know that they would make a sound. Even though light travels faster than sound, and sometimes the sound takes a while to catch up to you, the sound gets there eventually. The sound from this thing never came. So I am very confident in ruling out a plane, a jet airliner, a helicopter, any of those things. Pretty sure it's not that. I also feel confident in ruling out a blimp, because blimps are not that common anyway. Where they do get brought out, it's usually in urban areas, and they usually don't fly very high. They're kept lower most of the time. And I wouldn't live in an area where I think there are any blimps around here anyway. And yeah, I just don't think a blimp is likely. Nor do I think a balloon is likely, because, well, you can see the object right here. The object is oblong horizontally. Balloons tend to be oblong vertically. You have the air sac up top, and anything else it's carrying hangs down from it. Plus, balloons have a tendency to bob up and down. And although I said the thing was moving in a straight line and not moving erratically, it wasn't bobbing around either. So don't think it was a balloon. I can also rule out birds, because again, I know what birds look like. There are eagles who live by here, and I see them flying by every once in a while, sometimes high, sometimes low, and they are bald eagles, but bald eagles only like the very end of them. The head is white, and that's only on the males. The object in this is completely white, at least as far as I can see, so definitely not an eagle in terms of color, nor in terms of movement. An eagle would be moving around in a wide arc, and it would be changing levels, so not an eagle. I have seen some people suggesting it might be a drone, in which case I think we need to get into specifics. If we're talking about a recreational drone, I don't think so. See, the fact that I could zoom in all the way on my camera at this thing and still not get it in focus, still not get any detail, tells me two things. First of all, it has to be very, very, very high up, very, very far away. And second, it has to be really, really big if it can be that far away but still be visible. And your average recreational drone, first of all, it's illegal to fly them above a certain altitude. So if it is a recreational drone, then I just caught a crime on camera. But recreational drones also don't get that big. Biggest one I've ever seen is like, what, this big around? Maybe they get a little bit bigger, but they wouldn't get so big that if you were to fly them really, really far away, you would still be able to see a dot moving by. If this were nighttime and it had a really bright light on it, maybe I would be more open to that idea, because, you know, lights can be really bright and you can't really tell the size of a light depending on how far away it is. But this was in daylight, the sun was setting, but it was still out. And there was no light. It was just an object that was white. It was not reflective either. So I don't think it was a recreational drone. If we're talking about a military drone, on the other hand, I might be more open to that suggestion. Because military drones like this one, oblong horizontally, white in color, they don't leave trails when they're flying. They tend to make higher pitched noises that don't travel as far and can't be picked up as well at a distance. And there's no limit on how high or low they can fly because, you know, they're military drones. They're supposed to fly at a higher altitude. So I'd be open to the possibility that it is a military drone, but that just raises the question of, what would that kind of military drone be doing out here? My neighborhood is not a point of military interest. I don't know why it would be out there. other than maybe a test flight, but that just seems kind of random. Not to mention, when we get in as close as we possibly can, and again, taking into account that there's a little bit of distortion from pixelation and everything, it doesn't quite have the right outline for a military drone. It's something about it just doesn't quite look right. It doesn't look like an exact match. I could be wrong. Again, it's not a clear image, but it doesn't just seem to quite line up to me. So where I'm at in terms of that answer is a military drone might be the most likely of the earthbound explanations, but based on the available evidence, I don't think we can definitively say that's what it is. Now, in terms of the more unusual explanations, I mean, heck, we could be here all day. A lot of people who have seen the video have said it looks kind of like the Tic Tac videos. You know, the UFO videos that the government released not too long ago. Tiny little white capsule-looking things flying around. And yeah, that occurred to me as well. It does look like one of the Tic Tacs. Then again, what are the Tic Tacs? It's answering a question with another question. So at this point, like I said, I don't know what it is. All I can say is that it is a UFO. It's an object, it's flying, it's unidentified. By definition, it's a UFO. And that is really the only definitive thing I can say. I mean, maybe if somebody does come out and do an investigation, they might be able to find a bit more in terms of evidence one way or the other. But at this point, all I can say is that I don't know. And there's one last thing I'd like to talk about now that my own little self-analysis is done. This video, for me at least, completely destroys a particular argument made among skeptics that tries to debunk the existence of the paranormal. You may have heard it said that it doesn't make sense that we're still getting blurry pictures of UFOs and cryptids and whatnot when everybody in the world is carrying around a high-definition camera in their pockets. We would have gotten clearer images by now, so clearly the fact that we haven't means that there's nothing to it, right? That's the argument, and as far as I'm concerned, my own experience, if not definitive proof, it's at least hard evidence against the idea that this is a solid argument. After all, I had a high-definition camera on me when I saw this thing, whatever it was. I used that high-definition camera to capture an image of it, and this was still the best I could do. It's still just a blurry dot. But of course, there's a reason that it's still just a blurry dot. And the reason is, I don't live in an Apple commercial. I live in the real world. In an Apple commercial, of course, it's going to show people getting perfect studio quality photos and video every time they whip out their phones to snap something. But in reality, nobody has a hand that steady. Nobody can zoom in so close that an object 1,000 miles away is going to be crystal clear as if it were right next to you. There are going to be problems. There are going to be imperfections. And sometimes the thing you're trying to get a photo or video of isn't going to cooperate. It's not going to come in for a close-up. It's not going to stay in one place. It's going to just do its own thing, and you're just going to be lucky if you even get it on camera at all. So, yeah, I don't buy that argument anymore. I never really bought it to begin with, though it did occasionally have me wonder. Based on my own experience now, though, it's a dead argument for me. But of course, anyone who actually does try to use one of these cameras would know it. Sometimes you just get a bad picture. Sometimes the thing doesn't cooperate. But that's just where I stand on the matter. In terms of what the object is, I don't know. The most likely earthbound answer, as I said, would be a military drone, but I don't think I can say that definitively. And it might be something extraterrestrial, but there's no real way to definitively claim that either. All I know is that I saw what I saw. This time I managed to get it on video, and that's where it stands at the moment. I don't know what will come of this, if anything, but hey, at least I got evidence that I saw something, and I'm going to try and hope that maybe one day I'll get evidence of something else. I don't necessarily know if I will, but, you know, anything can happen. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni viewer saying, always watch the skies. Congratulations, you reached the end. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to consider supporting us on Patreon. Of course, the other way to support us is to go to Amazon and check out our books, Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Also check the description for links to DeviantArt and other platforms we operate. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.